Welcome to Talking Technology with NCBI Labs, where we believe that technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you are interested in the latest technology news, products, and innovations, then you've come to the right place.
Hello and welcome to the Talking Technology Podcast Christmas Special. Yes, it's episode 21 and we're sounding a little bit more festive this time around because it's the 20th of December. Yes, we're nearly at Christmas time and we've got loads of Christmassy topics over the next little while. We'll be showing you how you can chat to Santa on Alexa. Yes, that's a thing you can do. We'll be taking a look at loads of different Christmassy apps to see if they're very accessible. We'll show you later on in the show. And we might, maybe, no promises though, we might have an appearance from Mr. Santa Claus himself. That's a big ask though, so we'll wait and see. We've got loads to come, so do stick with us. It's the Talking Technology Christmas Special. So let's get this party started, shall we? Now, before we get into all the Christmassy topics, we did want to bring you some breaking tech news. Earlier in the month, Microsoft made a massive announcement about their Microsoft Soundscape product. From the 3rd of January 2023, the Microsoft Soundscape app will be removed from the App Store, and from the 30th of June 2023, the existing user base will no longer be able to use the product. Now, it might seem like doom and gloom on the surface, but there's quite a bit to this story, so I caught up with Joe Lonergan and JP Corcoran to find out exactly what's happening to Soundscape and how it will impact people with sight loss going forward. Microsoft have only recently announced some massive changes to their Microsoft Soundscape product. We've talked a lot about Microsoft Soundscape here on Talking Technology in recent months, but they're making some big changes to the product. JP, do you want to tell us a little bit about what's happening and what this means for the future of Soundscape?
Yes, of course, David. So it was announced this month by Microsoft that as of January 3rd, 2023, so next month effectively, its very popular Soundscape app will no longer be available to download from the Apple App Store, and that existing installations will stop working at the end of June next year, end of June 2023. Just to give us some background into the Soundscape app. So this app was made available for the iPhone, launched 6 years ago, and in Ireland it was launched in August 2021. Interestingly, we actually helped co-launch this app on one of our previous technology podcasts. It got a lot of traction at the time, and it's very popular in the sight loss community. In terms of how it works, it's using 3D audio technology to enhance your awareness of what's around you, and in turn helps you get around and explore your surroundings. So as you walk, key points of interest and your own save locations are called out automatically as you pass by them. But the Soundscape app also can tell you about your current location and direction and what's ahead of you. So in terms of what's happening next, beginning from 3rd of January next year, only around the corner really, the Soundscape code will be available as open source software so that anyone can continue to build on and find new ways to leverage it for growing navigational opportunities, apps in the future. Now, we can read this information and we think this is terrible news. Soundscape's coming to an end. It's coming to end of life. But there could be potentials here that considering it is being made open source. So there could be potentials here, as I say, to develop this, and we might see some new features, for example, be included. It might be Soundscape as we know it, but you never know. The future might be bright with Soundscape, or whatever it might be called in the future. So that's worth bearing in mind. But I'll be really interested, guys, David and Joe, do you guys use or have you used the Soundscape app? And what are your thoughts about this news?
I do use the Soundscape app. I don't use it every day. I'd use it mostly in areas that I don't know. So say, for example, if I'm in Dublin and I want to find out the points of interest that are around me, I would turn on Soundscape, put my AirPods Pro in my ears, and I'd have them in transparency mode so I can hear the outside sounds coming in. And then I'd walk and I'd hear whatever's on my left in my left ear, and whatever points of interest are on my right in my right ear. So it might say McDonald's on your left, and on your right, we'll say Gresham Hotel or whatever it could be. Do you know what I mean? So that's an example of where it comes into use for me. I found I didn't use the beacon that much. Some people love using the beacon, but I think as a point of interest finder, and the fact that it tells you in different ears, that's where I thought it stood out from the rest. And the 3D sound was a great kind of opener for me. That's what I liked about it.
How do you feel about the fact that it is at least ending in its current form?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's disappointing that it's ending in its current form, because you like the idea of a massive company like Microsoft being behind an app like this. So obviously they'd be one of the richest companies in the world, and it's good to have a company with money behind them researching projects like this. But on the other hand, they have made it open source, and we'd be hopeful and optimistic that some other navigation or mobility apps might put this software inside their apps and maybe make their own apps a little bit better. And just give an example, maybe Apple Maps or Google Maps or whatever. Maybe somebody else will just make a new one. But Microsoft always made a point of calling this a research project. So maybe they've come to the end of the research project, and now it's time to pass it on for the greater good. That's what is my hope.
Yeah, we can certainly hope so. I noticed in their press release that they say that this is what they call, they don't call this like the end of Microsoft Soundscape. What they're calling this is the next phase of that research and development project. So it's certainly an interesting way to put it in many respects, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the fact that it was very popular means the app was good. And there's no way the blind community are going to let an app that was very popular and good for their independence and mobility go, if you know what I mean. So they will push maybe for other companies to take it on, or advocate for other companies to take it on, and maybe even some programmer out there might turn it into their own version of an app.
Do you think this will lead to a resurgence of the likes of, say, Lazarillo, for example?
Yeah, Lazarillo done something similar, and you could pinpoint points of interest of your own. Maybe it could be some similar to Soundscape, possibly maybe steps down or a dangerous pole that you might have kept bumping into, or overhanging branches, and so it had a similar idea. And of course, maybe after is it June? I think it's June next year. Maybe after June next year, we mightn't have any choice, because there is that possibility nobody will have taken up the offer of using the open source software, and then you will have to turn back to Lazarillo. Some people still love using Lazarillo over Soundscape, by the way, so it's a personal preference as well. I think it might come to the resurgence of Lazarillo, and then Lazarillo might take some ideas from Soundscape and introduce it in their app.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. We had only last week, we had a Christmas party down here in the Cork office at the NCBI, and we were going to a restaurant in the city that I'd never been to before. But what I did was I set it as a beacon, and I found it, it made it much easier to navigate. I got basically to the door, and from the door I was spotted, and that is a game changer for people who have sight loss and who mightn't be able to read signage, or may not be able to navigate as effectively as someone with full vision. But it is an interesting one that we're going to need to wait and see. I think it is ultimately, it's a shame in a sense that, as you said, Joe, that Microsoft isn't going to, be throwing money at this project going forward. But we can certainly hope. I think if they were, this is a much better solution than them just shutting it down. Do you know what I mean? And it being just gone for good. Do you know?
Without a doubt, it's a better solution than shutting it down. And I would commend them for handing over the open source software. And the fact, I suppose, that you could use Siri shortcuts with Soundscape. That made a big difference for me, and hopefully that's part of the open source software going forward as well. There's not that many other apps out there that use Siri shortcuts to the same extent that Soundscape did. So if I did find somewhere where I wanted to set a Soundscape marker, I could just say, "Hey Siri, set marker." You know what I mean? And it gave me the choice to give it a different name or use the default name and click done. So I just found that a really useful feature as well. So look, hopefully, as we said, it'll move forward in the right direction for us.
Absolutely. Changes, but not necessarily bad changes, just changes, and we'll have to wait and see. JP, how do you feel about it? It's a change for sure, but is it necessarily a bad change? What do you think?
I don't think it. I think you made that important distinction. This isn't the end of Soundscape. It hasn't been discontinued. Rather, it's been made open source. And I'd like to think that this presents a good opportunities for someone to come in and perhaps incorporate the features that people have come to love in Soundscape in maybe an existing tool or create something brand new. And who knows? So I think the future could be bright with Soundscape, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where we go, where the app goes going into next year. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it ceased being used, or we didn't hear any more about Soundscape.
It'll be a curious situation to see as well, JP, if the open source software will have to be used on Bing Maps, or is it Microsoft Bing Maps, I think they call it, and can it be opened up to be used on Google Maps, for example? Because there is situations where I found some of the Bing Maps might have been slightly out of date, and Google Maps are a bit more up to date. So that'll be an interesting one to follow as well. Can it be used on other maps like Google Maps and Apple Maps?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Sure. Yeah.
Well, interesting changes ahead for sure, but as we said, it's not necessarily the end of Soundscape. It might be the end of Soundscape as we know it, but we'll have to wait and see. Lots of changes on the road for 2023. At Christmas time, we use tons of different apps, from getting our Christmas shopping done on Amazon to watching a movie to help try and relax with Netflix. We use loads and loads of apps, but there are a few apps that are designed specifically for the Christmas period, from Santa trackers to getting calls from Santa, loads of different things. So I've downloaded a few of these apps to my phone, thrown them in my Magical Christmas Apps folder, and let's take a look at a few of them just to see, are they accessible or are they just not worth your time at all? Let's take a look.
Magical Christmas Apps folder, 6 apps.
So let's go in here.
Christmas Countdown.
So let's start with Christmas Countdown. If you've got kids, you've no doubt heard them asking, how many sleeps until Christmas? And they'll ask it tons of times. You'll be sick of it by the time that they've finished asking. But is this app an easy way to answer that question? Let's take a look.
Christmas Countdown, 10.
So it's a simple little app. It's basically just got numbers. So you can hear there 10.
Days.
And I'm just flicking. So 10 days.
11 hours.
11 hours.
55 minutes. 2 seconds. Link. Flag.
And there you hear a link at the end. That link is to go to another section of the app that has an advent calendar, and you can open different gifts in that advent calendar. It's like an extra feature within the app, basically. But unfortunately, that feature is completely inaccessible. So unless you just want this app as a pure Christmas countdown, it's not really worth it. It might be worth it for your Christmas countdown, but I wouldn't recommend it, especially considering that you can most likely ask Siri or Alexa or any of your other smart devices. They'll all be able to tell you how many sleeps till Christmas too. So if you want a simple app to get you, that information, fair enough, but there are plenty of other more accessible ways. Let's take a look at a different app.
Santa's List.
Santa's List. So this is a really, really cool idea. So Basically, what this app lets you do is hold your finger on the screen and it pretends to scan your finger and then it tells you if you're on the naughty or nice list. So I'm sure I'm on the nice list, but let's open the app.
Welcome back
Landscape.
to my naughty
Santa's
or nice
list.
scanner.
Text field.
Now, you heard text field there, and unfortunately that's a bit of a problem with this app because the whole screen is just one giant text field and is completely inaccessible. So it's a real shame. It's a really cool idea, but unfortunately this app is on the naughty list because it's completely inaccessible. I'm sure I'm on the nice list, but I've no way of checking, unfortunately. So really cool concept, but you'll hear if I try and flick.
Text field. Text field. Text field.
There is nothing but a giant text field. Double tapping it does nothing. Double tapping and holding it does nothing. It's just completely inaccessible. So this app is unfortunately on the naughty list. Let's try a different app.
Santa call.
So Santa Call is a really cool app, and this is probably my favorite of the little festive apps. So it's not perfectly accessible, but you can get your way around and it is a really cool experience. So let me show you how it works.
Santa call. ICN setting. Button. Ears.
So the labeling is not particularly great here. If I flick through, you'll hear that everything seems to have ICN in front of it.
ICN premium. Button. Head dealer.
So not ideal, but you can navigate your way around just by ignoring the ICN. You'll get your way around. There are a few other unlabeled buttons, but most of the buttons that are unlabeled, they show up as separate buttons anyway. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So we start with a Christmas countdown.
Christmas countdown. Days. Hours. Mins. Sec. 10. 11. 50. 53. Button.
So
Sign.
pretty cool. I can flick then, and there are a few inaccessible buttons, but you can just flick past those.
Button. After 10 seconds.
So here's where this app gets really, really cool. This is where the call from Santa comes in. So there is an after 10 seconds button here. If I double tap,
ICN back. But after 5, after 10 seconds, after 30 seconds, after
You
1,
can
after
set
30 seconds,
the
after 10
duration
seconds.
that you have to wait before getting your call from Santa. So for this example, I'm going to keep it at 10 seconds.
After 5, after 10 seconds. ICN setting. Button. After 10 seconds.
And then I'm going to flick over.
Christmas gift.
And this allows you to decide what you want Santa to talk about. So there are tons of topics.
ICN back. But Christmas gift. Button. Coupon potty. Button. You are on naughty list. Button. You are on nice list. Button. It's Christmas.
So there are loads of different topics. There are tons of them. I won't go through them all. But there are loads of topics. So
Christmas
let's just
gift.
keep it at Christmas gift for now.
ICN setting. Button. Ears.
And then
Button.
you can
Make
also
button.
set
Logo
whether you
other.
want
Video.
an audio
Audio call.
or video call.
Video call.
So
audio call.
audio call is fine for me now. So
Video
it's
button.
set at
Illustrations.
audio call as we speak. But let's just leave it there. So what we've done
Schedule call. Button.
is we've set it for 10 seconds and then we'll receive a call about our gift from Santa. So when I double tap this schedule call button, I will have a 10-second wait, and from there we should receive our call. Let's give it a go.
Do not lock device or minimize / switch application to receive call.
That's fair enough. Just keep it open and wait. Any second now.
Santa Claus.
And there he is. There's Santa Claus calling. Now, this interface is similar enough to the normal iOS interface, but it is slightly different. Again, the buttons are labeled ICN, but you can navigate your way around.
Audio call. ICN call end. ICN call receive.
So let's
Button.
double tap the
Logo.
call receive button to answer here.
ICN call receive. ICN mute white.
Hello there.
Oh, hi, Santa.
It is so nice to see you.
And likewise.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot my manners. It is Santa on the line,
Indeed.
calling all the way from the North Pole.
I'm sure it's even colder than Cork at the moment.
You see, I am quite forgetful lately. But what about you? Do you remember to listen to Mommy and Daddy?
Oh, yes, all the time. I'm very good, Santa, I assure you.
That is just great.
I know.
And what is your name, little one?
Oh, I'm David. I work for the NCBI from the Cork office.
Wow.
I know.
What a lovely name.
Why, thank you.
My. You have grown so much since last year.
Why, thank you.
It seems to be you are eating all of your vegetables.
No.
Am I right?
No, I just go to Supermax, you see. Yeah, it's not great.
Well, that's just splendid. But listen.
What?
Are you ready to tell Santa what you would like him to bring you for Christmas?
Well, no, because I don't know myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know
Well,
myself.
let me hear you then.
Maybe a smart speaker will do, but I don't know. I'm not sure. You can just do the smart speaker, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, just stick with the smart speaker.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
Grand job.
I better get my elves ready.
Yeah,
and
works for me.
start packing those presents.
Awesome.
Oh. Merry Christmas.
Likewise, good man yourself, Santi.
Bye.
Bye. So when the call ends, Santa is very rude, unfortunately. He doesn't hang up, so he stays around earwigging. So you do have to be sure to end the call manually. And you do that by selecting the end call button.
ICN call end button. Light bulb logo.
Which you have to then double tap. What that does then is it brings you to a blank screen, at which point you're as well just quitting from the app switcher because there's no real way out of that blank screen. But you can get the experience, and this is one that it's not perfectly accessible, but it's a little bit of a fun experience. If you can get it right, it's really entertaining. You can get a call from Santa, and hey, it's a bit of fun.
ICN call end. Light bulb logo.
And there we go. So as you can see, there are a few different apps around for Christmas. They're not perfect. They're really not perfect. Some, like, that Santa List app, are completely inaccessible. It's not even worth going there. But there are some apps, like that Santa Call app is usable. So I would say download a few of these apps, see what you think yourself, and who knows what you might find. You might find a fun experience this Christmas. So Joe, it's nearly Christmas time. We're there already. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, David. How are you? Happy Christmas.
And thank you. Are you wearing your Christmas hat?
Yeah, Christmas jumper and all.
Oh, good man yourself. Lights up the whole shebang. Good man yourself. So, Joe, you're along to show us some of the cool things that we can do on our smart speakers this Christmas. What can we do with the smart speakers this Christmas?
Yeah, I have a couple of kids as well, so it's great fun with the Amazon smart speakers, especially with some of the Christmas skills that you have installed. So I just focus on three for today. The first one I'm going to mention is Call Santa. So it's obviously not fully ready yet, but I think you can, over the next week or so, you can call Santa. We'll give it a go and
yeah, let's give it a go.
Hear what they're like, David, and see what they can offer to us. So the first one, I changed the wake word of my speaker to Echo for today because. Oops.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Of course, I said it out loud. Didn't I?
You did. Why did you do that, Joe?
I changed it to Echo so that I wouldn't confuse everybody else's speaker out there. I know some people will have the Echo wake word, but most will have the other A word, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to give it a go now. I'm going to say, Echo, call Santa.
it's Funky the Elf here. Thanks for calling the North Pole. I'm afraid everyone's too busy to talk. We're having a wee team meeting. Christmas Eve. Bye for now.
Why not try asking, tell me a joke about Santa?
So generally you can talk to Santa, or he'll talk to you and give you a bit of information how he's getting on. But I'm going to say, Echo, tell me a joke.
Why is Santa like a lobster? They both have claws.
I was expecting a rude joke there. I don't know why, but I enjoy that joke. That's brilliant.
I thought you would have been polite enough to laugh, David, as well. It's one
no. It's a good joke though. Good joke.
It was a good Christmas cracker joke. So loads of different Christmas cracker jokes every time you open it. So it's a bit of fun. And also we have another skill called Open Santa. I don't think you even have to enable these skills. They're just kind of.
I think they're defaults. I think they're developed by Amazon. Yeah.
Come automatically. So I'll give the second one a go. Echo, Open Santa.
Hello, hello, hello. Oh, oh, oh.
You want a Christmas cracker joke?
Yes, please.
Can we have a joke, Santa?
Who delivers presents to baby sharks at Christmas?
I don't know.
Santa Jaws. Oh, oh.
Another cracking joke, Santa. Would you like today's news from the North Pole?
Yes, I would.
Socks and shares. Stop buying us socks for Christmas, yells angry dad. Get more creative. Pipe up. 11 pipers piping share their decorative Christmas cake icing tips. Lords are leaping or lords are sleeping. 10 lords state their preferences for their ideal Christmas Day afternoon. That's all for the North Pole News.
That's good
Would you
crack.
like the North Pole weather report?
Yes, please. I'm expecting this to be cold. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Try saying yes or no.
Yes.
Currently in the North Pole, it's -4 degrees Celsius with clear skies. It's great conditions for snow angels. Oh, oh, oh.
Do you want a Christmas story?
No, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Do you want to hear Santa have a go at beatboxing?
What do you think, David?
Yeah, go on.
Well, someone has been eating my mince pies and Santa looks like the type. Do you want Santa to sing?
Yes.
Now playing. The Mince Pie Song by Santa. It's Santa's attempt at a Christmas number one.
Ho, 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 I smell mince pies. Let me tell you about those mince
I think we'll stop it because we'll get in trouble copyright-wise.
Okie dokie. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. Come back tomorrow for more Christmas content. Ho, ho, ho.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Quite a fun app for the kids.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
And well made. I know they have to introduce the Amazon voice on top of it, but it sounds quite good. Very creative.
It's a very well-voiced Santa as well, to be fair, isn't it?
Yeah, Santa, his laugh is probably the best part of the jokes. But yeah, it's a very good Santa. They really done well on the Santa.
Absolutely. And you can also use the Echo to track Santa, Joe, as well, if you want.
Yeah, so Santa Tracker. So say it's Christmas Eve, you have a couple of kids or nieces or nephews in the house and you want to know where Santa is. Well, they want to know where Santa is. They're getting all excited and nervous.
You want to know as well, Joe. Don't be lying.
Of course I do, yeah. So I suppose there's a skill out there called Santa Tracker. So you can just say, wait, let's see, what was the skill again? Yeah, Echo, open Santa Tracker.
Okay, here's NORAD Tracks Santa. Welcome to NORAD Tracks Santa. NORAD stands for the North American Aerospace Defense Command. It conducts a special mission on December 24th, tracking Santa across the globe, keeping him safe during his journey. I can help you track Santa, tell you a fact about Santa, tell you a Christmas joke, and more. Would you like to track Santa?
Yes.
Santa is at the North Pole. There are 11 days left until he makes his Yuletide journey around the world. As a reward for visiting Santa today, you have earned your Christmas tree to decorate. Want to check it out?
Yes.
Welcome to your Christmas tree room. You will earn new decorations each day when you use NORAD Track Santa. If you want to see your Christmas tree room, open the Alexa app on your mobile device and say, "Ask NORAD Track Santa to show me my Christmas tree."
Echo stop.
Goodbye. Come back soon to Track Santa.
So that's one example of a Santa tracker app. There is a couple out there.
That's really cool, though, isn't it?
think
Especially
there's
especially if, and it's not ideal, obviously, for those who have no vision, but for those who maybe have some vision, the ability to add decorations to your Santa, to your Christmas tree is a cool little thing for the kids, isn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt, it's a cool thing to have. I think there is another way of asking as well. Will I give
Give it a go. Yeah, go for it.
Echo, where is Santa?
Activating Santa tracking satellites.
This one's a little bit better, I think, David.
Santa located.
I'm in the North Pole, and I'm reading the news from the North Pole. Oh, oh, oh.
Do you want Santa to sing?
No.
Okie dokie. Would you like the North Pole weather report?
Yes.
Currently in the North Pole, it's -4 degrees Celsius with clear skies. It's great conditions for snow
Echo,
angels.
stop. So I think that
Okie
one.
dokie. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. Come back tomorrow for more Christmas content. Ho, ho, ho.
I think that one is probably made by the same makers of the
Of the other
previous
one. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Pretty cool, though.
That's the better version, I think.
Yeah. But it's great that there
Most
are
accessible
options
version.
too, you know?
Yeah, it's good that you have two options. Yeah. So look, I think no matter what, as long as you ask a couple of Santa questions to your speaker, you're going to get an intelligent response from the speaker. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? That you can have a little bit of fun with it just by playing around.
bit of a conversation. Yeah, just play around with it and ask about Santa in a few different ways, and I'm sure you'll come across a skill that you like.
Absolutely. And Joe, you've been doing extra bits and bobs with your smart speaker too, because you can control like your Christmas tree and all sorts of stuff from it.
Yeah, so there's things you can do at home, I suppose, to make things easier for yourself. So, for example, you might have a fairly big Christmas tree put into a corner, and as you know yourself, David, it's not easy to plug them in and out, or even flick the switch up and down.
Yeah, you do the back, Joe. You do the back.
You do the back, or you might even poke yourself in the eye. You know what I mean?
But that's true. That's very true.
Worse. So it's not easy to get in and around and do those sort of things. And you don't want to be pulling it in and out. So the solution to this is buy a smart plug, call it Christmas tree, connect it to your Amazon app, and thus it's connected to the smart speaker. So then you can say things like, Echo, turn on the Christmas tree. Or you could say, Echo, turn on outdoor lights. And if you wanted to, David, you could also go into the routines section of the Amazon app, of the A-Lady app, we'll say, and you could look for the routine called Merry Christmas. And in there you can add the Christmas tree and outdoor lights and whatever else you wanted to turn on or off at the same time. And also, when you say the wake word on Merry Christmas, it'll play Christmas music and turn on the lights at the same time. So that's another cool thing you can do.
That's really cool. I must say, Joe, I'm very envious of you having outdoor Christmas lights. Very, very cool, I must admit.
Yeah, well, it's easier than you think. It's like two Christmas trees with two smart plugs plugged in and Christmas lights going towards the smart plug. So it's not rocket science, but it's doable and it's quite impressive.
That's awesome. So thanks a million for showing us all that stuff, Joe. Are you doing anything exciting for Christmas yourself?
Well, I have, as I said, you have Luke and Freya, so it'll be a busy house on Christmas Day, and that's exciting enough for me. And
that's brilliant.
Yeah, and Christmas dinner and spend time with the family.
Are you going for the good old traditional Christmas dinner now?
Traditional Christmas dinner, yeah, turkey and ham.
Good
look
man
forward to it.
yourself.
Yeah. How about you, David? Will you do the same?
Very similar. Yeah, very similar. Just normal, boring Christmas at home, and that's the way I love it. You know, that's the
Good.
way I love it.
Good.
Well, listen, Joe, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all the work you've done as well on the podcast and the newsletter and all the stuff throughout the year. And enjoy the Christmas break.
Thanks, David.
Now, I know I said in the introduction that we would try and get a message from Santa Claus on this Christmas special, but I've been trying and trying and trying, and he simply isn't responding. I don't know if he's asleep or whether he's just completely snowed under, but he's just not getting back to me. I've sent messages on Teams, on WhatsApp, on Twitter. I've tried ringing him on Skype. Yes, Skype. I've honestly, I've tried so hard to get him to just give us one quick message for the Talking Technology podcast listeners, but unfortunately, he just hasn't responded. So I'm sorry, but it looks like we're... Wait a second. Who's that? Don't they know I'm trying to record a podcast here? For goodness sake. Oh, who is this? Oh, Santa, it's you.
Ho, ho, ho. Hello, everybody. It's Santa Claus here. I just wanted to thank you all for listening to the Talking Technology podcast all year. That gives you an instant pass onto my nice list. The elves have been busy packing the sleigh with all sorts of gadgets this week. AirPods, smart speakers, and don't forget the air fryers. I've never seen so many air fryers in all my years. While the elves have been busy packing, I've been chatting to kids all around the world on their Alexa devices. I've also been eating mince pies along the way too. Chatting to people can make you very hungry, I'll have you know. Speaking of food, be sure to leave me out a few cookies and a glass of milk on Christmas Eve. Also, a carrot for Rudolph. Wouldn't go amiss either. Joe Lonergan left out spuds for the reindeers last year, but they really do prefer carrots where possible. The other thing to remember is to get to bed early on Christmas Eve night. That John Paul Corcoran fella can stay up very late sometimes. David Redmond too. If you don't get to bed early, they won't get any gifts from me. And I really don't want that to happen. I really am so excited to come and visit you all this Christmas. It really is my favorite time of year. There's nothing quite like the amazing experience of flying above the houses on my sleigh. Last year I set loads of houses as beacons on Microsoft Soundscape. It was a beautiful sound, but the reindeers found it very distracting, so I had to turn it off. Maybe I might try that again this year, but we'll wait and see. It's only a few days to go now, so I better get some rest before my big adventure. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Okay, that's it. Remember the cookies. Ho, ho, ho.
It's hard to believe, but that is it for our Christmas episode 2022. Thank you so much for listening both to this episode and for listening all throughout the year. It really does mean a lot to all of us here at NCBI, so thank you so much for that. We'll be back in 2023 on the 10th of January with a Braille episode. We'll be back to the live format that you're used to. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And from us to you, have a very, very happy Christmas and a happy New Year. And we'll see you back here in 2023.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with NCBI Labs. If you would like to support our show, you can visit donate.ncbi.ie. The NCBI Labs Talking Technology podcast is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in the provision of digital accessibility services.